The breadth of the market, though, it has to be said, is a lot better than what the benchmarks are up to. BEL has surged 9%, Tata Chemicals has been very strong, Power Grid, Bosch, Bata are just some of the other names which are seeing traction. Rajesh as well joins in on the charts then. And to help us with some more trading strategies. Rajesh, hi, afternoon. What is it that you're making of this second dip that the market is witnessing right now? Would this also be covered into and bought into, as was the case previously in the day?
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, so overall setup for the market is positive, but yes, if you look at the overall setup, like the banking and financial stocks were looks to be overstretched. Almost 22% gain we have seen during the month for the bank Nifty. So some profit taking is happening over there in the banking and financial stock. So I feel that some more selling pressure we can witness on the banking, especially banking and financial stocks. Maybe bank Nifty can dip further towards 28,800, which is likely to act as a good support area for this, profit taking activity. But if you look at the Nifty, but Nifty is still stable and holding about 12,850, 800 zone. So which is likely to act as a good support area for this dip. And I'll advise that, if market comes near to this 12,800 level, it's a buying opportunity for the market, because overall setup for the market is looking quite positive. And even if you look at the derivative setup for the market, a lot of put writers are aggressive at 12,700, 12,800 strike, which seems to be act as a good support area for any dip comes in the market in the near term basis. So 12,000 near 12,800, one should again buy this dip. And for bank Nifty, 28,800 is important level, and I feel that furthermore selling pressure would be there in the banking and financial, and some stock specific action we need to watch for coming trading session. As of now, I like two stocks at the current juncture. One is Bata India. If you look at the overall setup, stock managed to give a breakout of the weekly chart, and the kind of volume action as well as the open interest which we have seen in the today's session, my belief is that this stock can do further well from the current level. 1540, 1550 target can be seen on the Bata India from the current level from trading point of view. So one can keep stop loss of now stock has already moved in last 5-6 minutes. So now I would like to suggest a new fresh stop loss at around 1480. For upside target of 1540. Another stock which I like is Titan. Stock now able to cross 1300 level in today's trading session, and since last few trading session stock was in consolidation, and today's session we have seen this breakout. So looking at the breakout and chart pattern, my belief is that this stock can rally towards 1360 to 1370 on the high side. So one can buy Titan also with stop loss of 1310.
Sure. On the subject of banks right now, Rajesh, where do you find the maximum correlation? Because what you're seeing today is a big drag on SBI as well as ICICI Bank, which have been the gainers in the past. Are they the ones which are bearing heavy on the Nifty Bank?
So yes, if you look at the overall rally of banking stock, SBI and ICICI were the laggard when the whole banking stocks were moving and leading in the banking space. So yes, SBI, if you look at the setup for SBI, almost it has reached to the level of 250 level. And looking at the weekly setup, my belief is that this is the resistance area for SBI, and a lot of call writing activities there at 250, 260 strike at the higher side. So this level is likely to act as a resistance area for SBI, and some supply pressure we can see furthermore in the PSU, especially PSU bank like SBI, PNB, even in the Bank of Baroda. These all stocks can show furthermore pressure from the current level. SBI, the kind of selling pressure which we are seeing in the SBI, I feel that this will continue further, and 230 level can be seen on the SBI in the next 1 or 2 trading session. So SBI can be one stock which can drag further bank Nifty towards 28,800, which we are projecting for bank Nifty at the current juncture also. But ICICI is also witnessing some supply pressure around 490, 495 zone, which is acting as a resistance area for the stock. And the supply pressure which we have seen in the today's session, which is giving us sign that furthermore pressure we can see in the ICICI also towards 468. So my target for ICICI for the near term is 468, but I'm not advised to short here. Wait for some dip, and again, because overall setup is positive, the 468 is the ideal level where again if ICICI comes, then one can again think to buy stock around those levels.
Okay, here's a view coming in from Basant Maheshwari. Listen into this. We'll be back in just a moment.
If you have a 5-year view or a 3-year view, then you would definitely want to go with the Kotak banks and the HDFC banks. But this is not the time to buy the best of the best. This is the time to buy banks that have survived the onslaught, cleaned out their books over the last 4 to 6 quarters, have a provision coverage ratio which is hitting mid-70s from mid-50s or 60s. And this is the time to get your hands dirty in banks that are trading at one-time book, which have been adequately funded. So it's a little different from what we've always spoken about, because this is not the time to play defensive. This is not the time to go around looking for stocks that won't fall. This is the time to get a little adventurous and not buy those second quality banks just because they're going to grow back at 20%, but buy them because there would be a re-rating happening.
Outside bank, what else are you looking at?
So you would have to look at something that survives a lockdown. And I say this not because you want to protect money. So obviously the last few months we thought that why not buy liquor companies, but you don't just want to buy a company to survive a lockdown, because if you want to survive a lockdown, you go and do a bank fixed deposit instead. So you would like to look at consumer companies. You would like to go look at companies that are maybe in the restaurant business, maybe supplying food or quasi food or whatever it is. Or maybe you would like to look at rural themes. So when I say rural themes, it can't include fertilizers, because if you sell fertilizers, the government won't let you charge too much. So there are specific rural themes that would benefit from the new improved Banrega that the government has announced and things like that. So across the board, there are several opportunities in the mid and the largest mid-cap space. So maybe from a 15,000 crore market cap to a 50,000 crore market cap space. So I think that's the spot to look at, and then there are several companies right now to choose from.
Welcome back. Dheeraj Sachdev also joining us on the show this afternoon, looking a little slow in trade, and we are seeing a bit of lag coming in on those financials. Dheeraj, what do you attribute this to? We've got everything kind of in sync at the moment. Global markets also a little quiet, of course, after that huge run-up. But just when we're picking up momentum on the financials, a little bit of a lag setting in.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, Abha. So, on an overall basis, we continue to see recovery on many fronts, whether economic data, COVID recovery cases in India, as well as corporate earnings. And several high-frequency data are showing improvement, whether it is number of e-way bills generated, railway freight volumes, electricity consumption, and car registrations. All have picked up. So clearly, equity market precedes economic reality is once again proved with sharp rally over the last few months. While we are just beginning to witness significant month-on-month improvement at the ground level. In general, the market has rightly been focusing beyond short-term demand issues and seems to be factoring in fast approaching normalization across many businesses. So while pent-up demand and inventory filling ahead of the festive season is helping the underlying recovery, we need to see whether it is sustaining beyond the festive season or only just the inventory filling demand or supply that has got created. So number of companies reporting profit results have been outstanding this quarter across many businesses. So on the financial side, clearly the market is anticipating that much of the collection efficiency has improved. Most of the companies, including NBFCs and banks, have reported more than 90-95% collection efficiency, and is expected to improve gradually. But at this stage, I would rather prefer secured lending companies like housing finance with low exposure to builder loan, or microfinance companies being unsecured are at risk. But given that their target market is rural lending or agriculture, that are an essential category, selective opportunities exist in microfinance space as well within the NBFC pack. The larger private banks obviously will witness better growth rate, better market share gains versus PSU PAT in general. And obviously they have upfronted a lot of provisioning ahead of the post-moratorium period. So while in many cases we still have to see how there is better handle on the credit cost in the December quarter period, which is the first quarter post-moratorium period, and whether borrowers make payments for a few months post the moratorium period. Overall, we believe we need to be selective to invest in the financial sector as such. So while private banks offers some respite with low-cost CASA deposits, etc., and better asset quality, in NBFCs one has to be selective across microfinance or housing finance, which has no exposure to builder loan.
Sure. And we are, I guess, seeing that with the kind of flavor of stocks that are on the move today as well. And we are seeing some of those lending companies that are actually looking better than some of the headline names. Power Grid's up about 5%. So that's one that's standing out in trade, and that's seeing actually quite a sharp move coming in right now. Rajesh, let me just get a quick check on Power Grid.
So stock is looking positive, and the kind of rally which we have seen since last 4 weeks, stock is now managed to give breakout above its August 2020 high. So looking at the setup on the weekly chart, my belief is that this stock should continue furthermore upward momentum towards 205. From the current juncture, I would suggest to keep stop loss of 188 to go long in the Power Grid, and the kind of accumulation which we have seen in last couple of trading session, and the last continuously since last 4 weeks, it's making higher high formation, so which is adding up for the more strength on the Power Grid chart, and 205 should be the target on the higher side. 188 should be the stop loss to buy this Power Grid at the current level.
All right, Hero now, let's look at that. We've got a pretty good move coming in on Hero. It sold over 43,000 units per day over the last 32 days, 14 lakh from Navratra to Bhai Dooj. So it's been a good festive season. Sales are up, in fact, 98%. That's a year-on-year figure coming in. Dheeraj, I mean, once you see those numbers, it really does present a strong case for Hero going forward as well. Okay, I think we've lost Dheeraj's feed, so we'll come back to him in a moment. But Hero is up and away in trade. And from the auto ancillary pack, we've got Motherson Sumi also in the news, something brewing there. They've got a 5-year plan that they're working on, and Ajay has that exclusive story. Ajay?
Well, that's correct. Auto and auto ancillaries are in focus right now, but one particular stock which is really rising from the ashes is Motherson Sumi. Stock which one point in time used to command a market cap of almost 1 lakh crore had fallen very sharply because of auto slowdown. We understand that management has charted a very ambitious 5-year plan which they are actually planning to detail to all the market participants this weekend, Friday and Saturday. As per the BSE filing, there's an analyst meet which has been scheduled, but we understand it's not an ordinary analyst meet, it's a very special one, because this is the time where we detail their 5-year plans. Remember, unfortunately, because of the auto slowdown, the last 5-year plan was not achieved. $18 billion in total revenues is what they had set target for, but they barely managed $12 billion. So there was a miss of $6 billion. This time, we understand that they've set a target of $36 billion in the next 5 years, which is by 2025. Not only the revenue target is very ambitious, but very interesting detail which we are gathering ahead of the analyst meet is that there will be a bigger role for Lakshya Sehgal, who is the son of Ray Chand Sehgal, getting into more leadership role than he currently is in. We also understand there's a very clear trajectory for charting out more and more revenues from non-auto business. Remember, auto cyclicality hit them hard. We understand that almost 25% of their overall revenues will now be aimed at from non-auto businesses like medical equipment, like aerospace, and even some of the security areas is what they're wanting to go towards. Very clear focus of reduction in debt and improving return ratio. We understand some of the market men have also been hinted at that they would be nearing their overall capex plan now. So very interesting details set to be unveiled by Mr. Sehgal this weekend. This is the time most market men love to interact with the management, and this is what we should be awaiting for their plan 2025.
Okay, and let's take a very quick break on that note. We are of course watching those developments very closely. Also here are a view from another top management we spoke with today, Titan, Mr. Subramanian, the CFO, talking about how things are truly picking up. Listen in, we'll be right back.
Yes, I think it's been a good season, good festive season. We've seen demand come back quite strongly from what we experienced in the first two quarters. And after a long time, we've actually started seeing growth. And that's the best news here, which is that during the festive season, and here when we say festive season, it's 30 days from Dasara to Diwali. And it has the Dasara festival entirely, and of course the Dhanteras before Diwali, and of course it ends with Diwali and Bhai Dooj. So this 30-day period is typically when you look at as a festive period. And if I were to look at what we've done in this period, at least I'm talking of jewelry to start with now. Jewelry has actually grown at double digit now, mid-teens possibly, and that ballpark is where we are today. So the good news therefore is, as far as jewelry is concerned, we are hoping that finally we are out of the recovery stage to a growth stage. At least that's how we are seeing it at this point in time. The demand has been strong across the board. And the good news is that the studded share has started going up, which means that people are coming back and are spending money on discretionary items as well.
Welcome back. Still tuned into Closing Trades. I just want to identify some of the movers then. And Federal Bank open interest here up about 3%. You've got fresh shorts being built. L&T Finance, ditto for that. Tata Motors as well, the open interest is up just about 1%, and Piramal Enterprises, fresh shorts seen here with the open interest up nearly 2%. Let's connect also with Dheeraj Sachdev, as Managing Partner and CIO at Roha Asset Managers, now on the show. Dheeraj, thanks so much for taking time out. Why don't we get in a take from you first up as to how you're looking at the movement in the banking space as a whole. For today, you do have the Nifty Bank, which is seeing quite a bit of pressure all in all. We've come off quite heftily from the top of the day. Where is it within banks that you're finding comfort?
So, actually, if you see overall, the financial services sector had offered highest level of safety during the moratorium period, and people thought that there will be large-scale delinquencies. But what the private banks have done is they have loaded a very high element of provisions upfront to take care of the risk in the post-moratorium period. So December is the first quarter where we might actually see how the behavior of the borrowers will pan out for most of the private banks, including NBFCs. So yes, while the financial services may go through an uncertain phase in the near term, given post-moratorium period has just started, and challenges do exist related to asset quality and growth. So things have not completely been normalized, as we say, and market will have kind of a profit taking in the lending business, whether it's private banks or NBFCs. Within the NBFC pack, we would rather prefer secured housing finance companies, which has low exposure to government, as I suggested earlier, or microfinance companies which are catering to more rural lending or agriculture, which has not been disrupted, being in the essential category. But private banks obviously will be preferred. Larger conservative banks and NBFCs have done front loading of provisions and guarding against any kind of potential risk in the post-moratorium period, which has begun over the last couple of months. We will have a better handle on the credit costs in the December quarter, which is the first quarter, and whether borrowers' behavior will be actually tested. So overall, we are currently selecting to invest in the sector, but banks are preferred over NBFCs in general.
Okay, Okay, fair enough. That's the outlook coming in. In the meantime, I just want to take note as to what's managing to hold out quite smartly while the rest of the market is down nearly 1%. There's Bajaj Holdings, it's in the green. Power Grid and Bosch are having a run up of about 3 and 4% respectively. Titan as well is rather active, and ITC, that's another gainer in today's trading session. Well, Dheeraj, we've been having playbacks of the conversation that we had with the management of Titan, and they're fairly confident that they are seeing strong growth this festive season, that the jewelry segment is going to recover as well. What about your outlook as to how things have shaped up for the festive season, what the outlook is going forward for some of these consumption names?
Well, quite remarkable. If you see, like selective companies in food processing, beverage, health and personal care, where the demand has been very steady with sustained growth. In fact, packaged food continues to see strong demand and overall steady outlook driven by rural demand. So whether it is consumer goods, consumer durables, personal care, healthcare, hygiene, I think these are the categories where demand has just been very strong, and is expected that the outlook will also be fairly decent enough. Overall, the management commentary in most of the consumer goods sector indicate that they are actually facing supply issues or supply chain issues in meeting the demand during the festive season. Though we need to see whether it is large part of the demand is still pent up and can sustain or not. But they have also got the benefit of lower raw material cost, which may not sustain going forward. But overall, largely the consumer goods and consumer sector is fairly under-penetrated. Even if there is some kind of a slowdown post-festive season, we believe it is more of a structural and more steady demand going forward. So we like the space as such, and within that we like food processing, beverages, health and personal care.
With us, lots more to talk about, but in the meantime, it's good news coming in for Boeing, and that means great news for SpiceJet, as India's budget airline is flying high with double-digit gains after the US aviation watchdog has given the green signal to Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. The carrier is the sole operator of the Boeing 737 MAX in India, with 13 aircraft in its fleet. What does this mean exactly for SpiceJet, which is on a tear? Poonam joins in with those details. Poonam?
Well, some positive news coming in for SpiceJet. In fact, the US aviation regulator FAA has allowed Boeing 737 MAX to fly again. To know that MAX aircrafts have been grounded since March 2019 after two major air crashes. This approval now is applying still only for US domestic flights. Each country's regulator will have to give separate approvals, and hence DGCA's approval for India is likely to take 2 to 3 months. Having said that, the development is fairly positive for SpiceJet, as in India only SpiceJet has MAX aircrafts of nearly around 13 in their own fleet. SpiceJet of course was incurring a lot of maintenance and upkeep cost, and hence it accounted to more cash burn. MAX aircrafts like A320neos also have nearly around 15% lower fuel burn, and as a result, MAX was accumulating claims of nearly around 9.5 billion rupees, or nearly around 950 crores with regards to MAX grounding. After the settlement process, we should see some amount of improvement to SpiceJet cash flows. The other news is in terms of market share. While SpiceJet has lost market share, Indigo has gained substantial market share from the pre-COVID times, and also AirAsia and Vistara have gained market share in the month of October.
Alright, thanks very much Poonam for giving us all of those details on SpiceJet and what exactly the news means. 10% on that stock. Well, getting a move on then on India Revival Mission. Today we caught up with Suresh Narayan, the Chairman Managing Director of Nestle India, an FMCG behemoth, along with its peers who stood firm during the pandemic and has been among the least affected. Discussing the growth going forward, here is Mr. Suresh Narayan in conversation with Nikunj Dalmia, saying that penetration-led volume growth is going to be the centerpiece of the company's strategy.
The trajectory of the FMCG industry has been extremely heartening. I mean, as we discussed the last time when we met, I think the consumer goods industry has probably been, it has been one of the least impacted industries in terms of the overall economy. There are others which are hurting and which are being decimated in this pandemic. And I think to that extent, it once again reinforces the inherent strength of the consumption story in India. I always believe this, Nikunj, that irrespective of the fact that we might have had a GDP contraction of minus 24%, and irrespective of the fact that in the subsequent quarters we will only be building back towards where we were to reach the 2019 levels in the financial, in the fiscal year that we are talking about. But the fact of the matter is that I believe that consumption will still be relatively strong and robust. It may go up and down. I mean, that's more a matter of degree. But the secular trend line will still remain upwards.
Let's talk about the raw material scenario. How exactly do you think raw material prices, milk, sugar, other things are likely to move for Nestle? Now, there are two factors which are at play, clearly. One, the APMC reforms have kicked in, and B, there seems to be a recovery in rural India. Now, you are a company which is dependent on your margins, let me put it this way, are completely dependent on raw material volatility. So what is your view forward on where the raw material prices are headed?
Look, I think as far as APMC is concerned, and the agri reforms are concerned, I think these are absolutely the step in the right direction. And I believe that longer term, these are the kind of policy measures that we need to take in order to ensure that there is a freedom for the farmer and for the farming community to sell to the entities that they believe will give them the best realization. Obviously, there is still the debate on whether they need a certain minimum support level, and that's where I think the entire economic and political debate is taking place. Now, as far as Nestle is concerned, we really have 3 or 4 major commodities that impact us. One of them is milk. Milk is not an APMC item or is not an item that goes through the mandis of any kind. And there I believe that the model that has been set largely due to the cooperatives, and I think here the cooperative movement has done a tremendous job, and also some private players like us, like Nestle, have set up a very fair, transparent, robust and time-tested mechanism, which I believe will carry on. And at the moment, the way we look at milk prices it is fairly benign.
Right here in ET now, and the dip is only getting harsher. 12,835 right now. It's a triple-digit dip that you're seeing, and the breath as well has now turned well in favor of the declines. Federal Bank 5% lower, SBI roughly 4%, ICICI Bank down 3.5%. Coal India, Adani Enterprises from within the liquid universe are the ones which are also seeing some selling pressure. UPL, HDFC Life, JSW Steel are also seeing some spots of red. So that exactly is where the market is headed. Rajesh, you were just talking about as to how the index could go closer to 12,800, and that seems to be playing out exactly. Would you be a buyer now?
Yeah, definitely, because today, a lot of positions are, taking place because of, weekly option expiry is there. So 12,800 is important support area for this weekly expiry. So my belief is for today's session, to 12,800 should act as a support area. But yes, again, if we breaks below that level, then some serious selling we can see on the near-term basis, because this is a very important and critical level as of now for the market for next week expiry. So if we break below that level, then I would go with the short side trade, and then lower side we can see Nifty to fall towards 12,700, even 12,680 level. That is the next important support area. But as of now, if we close around this level only, then one can keep very tight stop loss of 12,780. That is to be a hold on tomorrow's opening. Then we can see again, pullback action can take Nifty towards 12,880 or 12,920 zone. And for the bank Nifty also, as we discussed earlier, also that 28,800, that is a very important level, and almost we have touched around those level. So for Bank Nifty is also 28,800 is very important and critical level for this corrective action. If we fail below that level, then furthermore, profit booking we can see in the banking and financial, and because these all stocks are already stretched, indicators are already in overbought territory. So some cool off action we can continue further for next 2-3 trading session for the banking as well as financial stocks also. So 28,800 closing is very important. If we close above that level, then support buying action can come again in the banking stocks. Otherwise, we may slip further towards 28,400. That is the next important level for the Bank Nifty if it breaks below 28,800 level. So for now, for trading perspective, some stocks idea which I have find out for trading point of view, like one is from insurance sector, that is ICICI Pru, which is looking weak now, because if you look at the setup since last few trading sessions, stock has moved up towards 450, 455 zone. But again on the monthly chart, it has taken the supply zone from its multiple supply zone of 455, which is acting as a hurdle for the stock. And in today's session, we have seen short built up activity in the stock. So my belief is that this stock can go further down towards 430, which could be the lower target. 430 to 424 should be the lower side target for ICICI Pru. So one can go short with stop loss of 450 at the current juncture. But some contra buying action we have witnessed in the FMCG space. From that space, I like ITC because if you look at the setup of ITC in last few trading session, stock has shown some good buying interest, and today's session also accumulation activity as well as the open interest has been showing that it's on the long side. The built up is done on the ITC. So looking at the data setup as well as the chart pattern, my belief is that this stock can now move further higher towards 198. One can buy this stock with stop loss of 184. So ITC is also looking attractive at the current juncture to buy for target of 190.
Okay, fair enough. Lots of other pockets that also remain interesting and active. Yesterday we were tracking the metals. Today a little quiet, of course, but nonetheless, let's get your view in on some of those steel majors and otherwise, given the price hikes that we've seen and the kind of expectations there are of a continued move higher on that pack. Dheeraj, let's get your view in. Would you go in for some of those steel majors?
Sure, Anna. If you see, metals is another space where valuations have turned attractive. We are seeing commodity prices on an uptrend, both for ferrous, non-ferrous and precious metals. We expect the metal sector to show strong growth in earnings led by recovery in realizations and profitability and steady improvement in global demand. Besides domestic demand driven by recovery from Indian automobiles and construction sectors. But in this case, we have to prefer companies with integrated operations, because the cost of raw materials like iron ore has gone up dramatically. So those who are backward integrated in terms of captive usage of iron ore, etc., will be better off. Or those who have cost competence and cash flows. I think one has to be selective, but overall the space is headed for better earnings growth going forward.
Let's also go across to Pankaj. He's tracking the latest on Gland Pharma, all set to list tomorrow. What are some of the basics you need to know about the company ahead of that? Pankaj is going to take us through all those details.
Well, Gland Pharma is a company that will get listed tomorrow. It's of course one of the large pharma companies, especially focusing in on injectable. Now, one has to know that the response to this particular IPO was not that great. It was only the QIB portion that particularly got decently subscribed. Otherwise, overall, the other two categories did not get much subscribed. But it's a great company when you talk about return ratios. So, industry-leading margins is what they have. Industry-leading ROE is what they have within the sector. Now, when we talk about the listed players, they really are not comparable to others. So when we talk about the injectable space, they are a CMO, which is a contract manufacturer, and most of the other players that we have, right, innovation till the selling is something which they do. Probably Divi's is the only one which you could compare, but Divi's mainly caters to innovators. Divi's mainly, is a formulation sort of a building company, API for formulation, and that is something which Divi's does in. So that's probably the only, comparable company that you have. The company has very strong return ratios, as I told you, more than about 30%, 35% in terms of margins, more than about 20-25% in terms of ROE. So it's a strong return ratio company with great growth. Now, 3 or 4 factors that completely, makes this company unique. So first thing is they've never got a warning letter since 2013. That's a phenomenal track record for any company in the world when you're catering to US markets. They have a great opportunity on the injectable side. A lot of injectables are coming out of their patents, so generics over there will be in focus. So what happens over there will be one of the key takeaways. So growth expectation continues to be on the higher side. In terms of return ratios or the PE that you would compare them to, it's coming at a discount of about 15% to some of its industrial peers globally. When we compare, it's also coming at a discount to Divi's Lab. So overall, the interest should be particularly high. We'll be talking to the management post-listing, asking them questions about the future outlook, future growth once the listing happens. That is something which will be in focus because it will decide how much they are likely to grow, or internally how much they are expecting to grow, which will take things forward.
Word coming in on Gland Pharma, that's going to be the big IPO come tomorrow. But Rajesh, where is it that you're seeing interest when it comes to pharmaceutical? Because in the last 3 months at least, the defensive tilt of the market has ebbed off and IT and pharma have underperformed.
Yeah, because if you look at the last month rally of the market, IT and pharma was underperforming, and the market is doing smart correction in the sector specific. Since last 1 month, we have seen pharma, some of the select pharma stocks were doing well, but most of the larger pharma space was under selling pressure. So in the pharma space, if we go with the technical setup, so clearly winner is as of now from the large cap pharma, that is Divi's Lab, which looks very attractive even at the current juncture also. And my belief is that this stock can outperform to the pharma space, and could be 3650, 3700 could be the short-term target for the Divi's Lab. Based on this technical setup. From current level, my belief is that if any volatility comes in the stock and if any corrective actions come, so one can buy and accumulate this stock in range of 34.35 to 33.50. This should be the accumulation range with stop loss of 3300. A target could be 3650 to 3700 for the Divi's Lab. So from Pharma Pack, I like Divi's Lab, and another stock which is looking attractive from pharma space is that is Sun Pharma. After long underperformance since last few weeks, we have seen that from lower side stock has shown very good buying interest, and now stock is managing to trade above 500 level since last 3 weeks, and the pattern is suggesting that we can see a furthermore upside towards 540, 550 zone in the Sun Pharma also. One can keep stop loss of 480 to initiate long side trade in the Sun Pharma. So Divi's Lab as well as Sun Pharma, these two stocks are looking very attractive, and we have seen the behavior of the market also. Whenever there is some volatility comes in the markets, pharma space as well as IT and FMCG, these three space shows some sort of buying interest, and same is happening in the today's session also. Some pharma space are showing good buying interest, as well as FMCG pack is also showing buying interest in the today's session. So my belief is that if volatility continues in the market, these two pockets can do well in the coming trading session.
Right. Okay. Dheeraj as well as Rajesh, good to have you both on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining in today. We're going to take a very quick break with news that we're at the lows of the day. It's a good 1% downtick, 120 points lower now for the Nifty futures, and the breadth well in favor of the declines. It's a 2:1 ratio that you're currently sitting at.